Now, I'm not one to gossip, but I will bring you the tea. Welcome to Chronicle Speaks.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at you.
So we all saw the blow up yesterday between Russell Simmons, Kimora Lee Simmons, and their daughter Aoki. Well, some lip readers saw Russell say, "F that man, I'm broke. She sold everything." And many people were wondering, how did he end up broke? So I got a special request from a subscriber to break down court docs. We are going to figure out how a hip-hop mogul like Russell Simmons could ever end up broke. We are going to break this down and so much more, but before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any news regarding this tea and so much more. Now let's get back into it. Now things had gotten pretty ugly between Kimora and Russell Simmons. Russell claims that Kimora will be getting locked up pretty soon, and Kimora was like, "I'm the only one still in the country, you're not." Kimora was like, "If they're looking for me, I'm sure they know where to find me." Now let's catch up on how these two even got on the possible prison talk anyway. These two were married in December of 1998 and were business partners and involved in business together both before and after their marriage. They had two daughters together, Ming Lee Simmons in 2000 and Aoki Simmons in 2002. Now, unfortunately, the marriage did not last long. They divorced in 2009, but remained involved in business affairs after their divorce. Okay, so let's get down to business. In 2011, Russell Simmons formed New Horizon, and at that time, he was the sole member of this company. In 2014, Kim married Tim Lessiner, who was an investment banker at Goldman Sachs. Russell and Tim developed a friendship based off of trust and the fact that these two were co-parents to Russell and Kimora's daughter Ming and Aoki. Now in 2014, Russell heard about a business called Celsius Holdings, which was an energy drink company whose marketing was pushed by celebrities. Now Celsius wanted Russell to invest both financially and as a celebrity promoter. By 2015, Russell was fully on board and ready to use his marketing resources and team up with some investors to make some money with the company. Now on April 20 of 2015, Russell's company New Horizon and other investors entered into a common stock purchase agreement to purchase 3,370,787 shares of Celsius stock with a purchase price of $3 million. Now the money was wired the next day on behalf of Russell's company New Horizon, and the wire was made by Kim's new man, Tim Lessiner. Now, no one knew at the time that the money that Tim used was going to get him into some legal trouble and lead him to prison for a very long time. So before this, everything was smooth sailing. There were more shares that were purchased, roughly $150,000 worth by Russell's company, and things were good. Russell is out promoting the company, getting his celebrity friends to do the same. Over the next 2 years, due to mainly Russell's efforts in the business, it began to boom. Stocks are now soaring, and the initial investment is paying off to be a pretty lucrative deal. Now, in 2016, there was an operating agreement for Russell's company, New Horizon, and in this agreement, Kimora's husband, who put up the $3 million, was 51% member of the company. Kimora is said to be the member of the investment board, and Russell owned 49% interest in all of the assets of the company. Now, in statements filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, both Tim and Russell are listed as the ones that made the investment through New Horizon, and both of them are listed as beneficial owners. That means that both Tim and Russell share voting and dispositive power. Now, in February of 2017, New Horizon made another purchase of 433,333 shares of stock. So now they own 3,973,159 shares of stock in Celsius. Well, things started to go bad really quick. Now, in early 2018, both Tim and Kimora were aware that the U.S. Department of Justice were conducting an investigation into a conspiracy which involved Tim, and Tim ended up later pleading guilty to it. Now, two of Tim's co-defendants were already caught up in some mess, and one of the two was already being detained in Singapore. Now, Kimora and Tim knew that Tim would be getting locked up pretty soon, and they devised a plan to get Russell to sell his interest in the company New Horizon, as well as his interest in his company Rush Media that he opened years ago. Now, they were wanting Russell to sell his interest in both of those companies to Kimora's company, which was called Keyway Pride Limited LLC. Now, they got a letter of intent drawn up saying that Russell was going to sell his interest in both of these businesses for $14,250,000. Now, what Russell didn't know is that before they had this conversation with him, they had already planned on selling his interest behind his back. They had sold everyone's interest in Russell's company, New Horizon, to Kimora's company, Keyway Pride. And then they sold it again to Oryx Investment, which is a company in Qatar. They did all of this for asset protection. They knew the government was coming for Tim, and they wanted to protect the bag due to concerns of having the assets being seized during his arrest. So they end up going to Switzerland to learn more about asset protection and the secrecy policies of Swiss banks and banks in Liechtenstein. So they begin selling some of their assets to their connect in Qatar, and they're taking that money that they're getting from those assets and putting it in banks in Liechtenstein. Now Russell is still oblivious to what's going on. He's unaware that his share belongs to someone in Qatar. So in May of 2018, he signs a stock transfer agreement to relinquish his rights in both companies, the one in New Horizon and the one in Rush Media, for $14,250,000, money that he never receives, mind you. Now, on June 10th of 2018, Tim was arrested by the FBI in Washington, D.C. while he was trying to go and meet his lawyer. Well, Kimora tried to devise any type of plan she could to bail him out. She ends up telling the government she has stock in Celsius. This is stock they no longer own anymore, but they used that to get him out. Truth be told, it worked. They transferred money from the Celsius stock to Kimora's JP Morgan Chase Bank. And it temporarily worked because homeboy was out on bond. Now, they did not tell the government that the Celsius shares was owned by New Horizon, which was sold to a company in Qatar. But that sale was pretty much null and void because they never paid Russell his $14,250,000. Now, since they didn't hold up their end of the bargain, Russell still owns his 49% of the shares. Now, because of Tim's crimes and the government believing that the $3 million that Tim used to fund this business was criminal proceeds from his mess that's got him arrested in the first place, the government is wanting to use Tim's shares to pay off his $40 million in restitution, and then Tim forfeits the rest, and it's hundreds of millions of dollars, like big money. The stock is now selling for $104 a share, so all of those shares that they had are now worth $344 million. Now Kimora is claiming over $90 million of the shares belong to her because she put $1 million of her own dollars into it. It's like, look, I was just trying to put them on. I had no idea they was doing this shady business. I own shares as well, so I need to get my 49%. Needless to say, there's hundreds of millions of dollars still on the table that may or may not go back to the government. Russell is hoping that the court excludes the Celsius shares from any final court order or forfeiture, or they at least just exclude his 49% of the shares. Russell is wanting his money. So needless to say, this might be why he's not talking to Kimora right now. This might be why he wants the kids to flip on Kimora right now. And this is the reason why he said, F that man, I'm broke. She sold everything. It might be why he's in his feelings, y'all. I don't know. I can't say that Russell is broke. It's very hard for me to believe that a man with that type of power, that has done so much for hip hop, that has his hands pretty much in so many different things, is broke. Just how I'm feeling, I don't know. But what I need to do is hear from you. What do you think about everything going on with Kimora, Russell Simmons, her ex-dude Tim, and the kids? Leave a comment and you know how we do. We'll talk about it down below. Talk to you guys later. Bye. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of my new episodes.